Thanks for having us. So today for this agenda, we'll be covering off a little bit of an introduction around Fusion 5, going to a little bit about the company profile, what it is we do. We'll then open it up to a panel discussion for some of our members here today, following by which we'll have a NetSuite demonstration focusing a bit around the NetSuite solution. Great. So thanks everyone again for joining us. So by way of Fusion 5, so we are a business services and applications company, essentially focusing on best of breed applications, including NetSuite. We're also ably supported by our innovation and integration and managed services arms as well, ensuring that we give a full wealth of experience to the project. Currently, we are sitting at around 550 employees across all our different pillars, with about 1,000 clients, all in all, across our different products and solutions. We are, of course, a national organisation with offices all around Australia and New Zealand as well, for all major cities. What I think really differentiates us is, we've got a good balance of one-on-one dedication that we give our clients with the experience and maturity that we've gathered over the last 20 years as well. So I feel that there's a right recipe there for getting the most out of your project. Now, today we'll be focusing on the NetSuite solution, which falls within our ERP pillar, which you can see there, along with a number of our other ERP products as well. And once again, we do also involve quite a lot of resources where possible from our different pillars to ensure that we've got that one-stop shop approach and that one point of contact, so to speak. As mentioned earlier, we are also often involving different areas of the business, including integration and innovation, to ensure that we're getting the most out of the project and that you're also accessing emerging technologies that are around within the market. So a few Fusion 5 fast facts. So we are NetSuite's largest partner in the JPAC region across the Asia Pacific, with over 75 dedicated NetSuite resources and 220 deployments. As mentioned earlier, we do have global and national presence all around Australia and New Zealand, Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, and all major cities. So we have feet on the ground with the local presence. We are proud of our strong support model, which is called Partner Plus, which is really activated from go live when a client is up and running, giving people access to in-house specialists across corporate performance management, integration, and business process improvement as well. Our consultants carry loads of Fusion 5 industry IP, along with best practice recommendations that we offer throughout the project. We do also carry deep vendor relationships, including with Oracle, to ensure that we are well on the roadmap and giving the best possible commercial outcomes for our NetSuite clients. And finally, we specialize in rapid ERP deployments. So using NetSuite Suite Success templated approach, we do couple that with our Fusion 5 focus methodology to give you the best of both worlds, ensure you're getting rapid deployments, but also the governance and risk management as part of that as well. So there's some of the differentiators that I'd like to think we have around Fusion 5. On the screen, you can see just some of the recognition that we've received from the industry and the market. You can see that we've got pretty much a focus on being a leader in the community, including both across revenue as well as support as well, really to ensure that the clients get the best use of their software and that they are completely optimized for future. So this is a bit of a selection of some of the awards that we've got over time, which will instill the confidence that you need. We do also have, as I mentioned, our Partner Plus model, which will really ensure that we've got the checks and balances throughout your journey to give you the most out of the system. So that includes ongoing optimization, regular feature function updates based on NetSuite releases, system health checks, as well as additional seminars and webinars based on additional features that come out. So definitely in good company there. And finally, just a bit around NetSuite. So NetSuite, being a truly global company, has verticalized their editions based on industry. So you're getting the benefit of global contribution into your editions with a lot of pre-configurations based on the industry that you're in, and also essentially getting that best start so you're up and running with something in place from there. So we might take the opportunity now to introduce our panelists again. So thank you, Meg and Gavin. If I could ask you guys to introduce yourself in a little bit more detail, that would be awesome.
Thanks, Anthony. I can go first. So hi, everyone. My name is Megha Kant. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the NetSuite pillar at Fusion 5. I have been in Fusion 5 for almost 9 years now, but I have been doing NetSuite since 2004. And I've spent my time as a consultant in the technical consultant. I've got an e-commerce background, and then I've done some project management over the years. And now I handle the development team within Fusion 5. I also handle some of the partner ecosystem. That's me.
That's great. Thanks, Meg.
Thanks.
And yourself, Gavin?
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. So my name's Gavin Neals. I'm a solution architect. I've been with Fusion 5 for just on a year now. Prior to that, I've worked with a number of other best-of-breed solutions in terms of billing, other ERP solutions, and also spent a considerable amount of time with NetSuite. Prior to that, my role is to engage with businesses to help them evaluate our technology and also us as a business technology partner. I've been extremely lucky over my career, spanning more than 15 years, we'll say, to be able to work with a lot of different businesses, both product-based businesses and services-based businesses, and see the impact that we've been able to have with them. So pretty excited about today and being able to engage with you all.
Awesome, Gavin. Thanks for joining, and yourself as well, Meg. So today we do have a number of topics to discuss. The first that we've got here is the need for due diligence in reconciling technical requirements with that of your business needs. Now, obviously, due diligence is absolutely important for all your ERP evaluations. I might start off with you, Gavin. Do you have any thoughts or viewpoints around that at all?
Yes, so I think due diligence is important, and it works on both sides of the table. The people we engage with, but also as we engage with people in their businesses, because it's finding the right match between the outcomes you're looking to achieve as a customer in a business, and also how we can meet those needs. The due diligence also comes with transparency, and being transparent from our side where gaps are, and where we can guide you to things like leading practices. And again, I think that's a really exciting part of my role, where I look at bridging the gap between technology and business. I'm personally quite process oriented, so I like to follow a process through a business and then think about how the different technology solutions align to that business process, and where we can start to consolidate technology, because NetSuite won't always do everything, but we want to look at where we can consolidate technology, reduce technical debt, and really drive towards the right business outcomes with the right technology, that again, and meet your business needs.
No, that's interesting. And I think it's equally important for vendors to invest up front in the discovery process to flesh out all these technical requirements to ensure that we've got complete transparency around what's needed, so that we can then match it up with the actual products themselves. So that's really great. Thanks, Gavin. Now, Meg, obviously, when it comes to financial year close, NetSuite is at the forefront of efficiency and automating a lot of the processes that financial teams need. Now, we know that there is a removal of a lot of the spreadsheet chaos, a lot of the Excels back and forth for teams there. Could you maybe contribute to that and give us some view on how that works and how that helps?
Yeah, definitely. So, Anthony, usually, I mean, before even you reach the period close activity, if we take a step back, everything starts with the transactions and journal entries within ERP, and especially talking about from the financial perspective. And what happens when you start looking at it within NetSuite, GL entries are very real time. You don't have to actually do anything else. As soon as you create the transaction, this goes into a GL entry, which means it reduces the time for you to do the period close. You achieve the high level accuracy when you're doing it. When the time comes for the year-end close activity, there's a system checklist there. So you don't have to remember what to do next. It adds structure to your whole process of closing the month end, for example. So you know exactly what steps need to be done and in which order to close down your month end. So our customers really like this functionality. You have a proper audit trail as what has happened. Once you close the period, it's logged down. And industry average, what we have seen is what the customer used to spend like maybe more than 10 days with different spreadsheets and doing it outside and, you know, bringing it and manually reconciling. It was error prone, time consuming. All of that gets reduced to almost on average 3 days within NetSuite. So you can see that you save a lot of time, plus the accuracy is very high level when you do it in this way.
I think also just maybe extending on that, I think you may raised a couple of really good points. Auditability, and when we think of Excel, I've seen Excel used extremely well. It's extremely flexible. Finance folk tend to have a lot of comfort in Excel. I've seen it used for inventory management, billing and reconciliation, also things like consolidation. So you've got a lot of flexibility there. But the other thing I've seen is an Excel workbook that has multiple sheets and then multiple formulas, which are complex. So I think going back to the piece of auditability, there's often a lot of opportunity for error to be introduced. And when one cell is changed, there might be a formula that sits behind it that has a number of other sheets it's referencing. So that auditability becomes very difficult. So when you get to a month or period end close and also fiscal year end close, the ability to go back and do your checks and balances becomes very difficult and then starts to pose a risk.
No, that's great, and thanks for that input, Gavin. I think that's definitely important. Let's go on to our third topic. So the ability to have a single view for leadership teams and board members who want their reporting customized in a certain way. So the ability really to have that one all glance and then to be able to manage by exception rather than rule, and to have the drill down all the way down to the source transaction. Now, that's more of a topic for yourself, Meg. Is there anything that you think you can mention around that? That would be awesome.
Yes, again, NetSuite is a unified, true cloud system. Everything is within one system. So there's not like you are dependent on manual data management or bringing the data from somewhere. NetSuite gives you ability to create dashboard and reports. So when we talk about a single view for your senior leadership team, yes, you can have, all your standard board reports and things created within, and you see it right on the dashboard. You can lock some of those reports on the dashboard. That's always there. But then if somebody needs a very custom report, then you can actually replicate that report and customize it for that particular role or for that person, and that person can access, so NetSuite is very flexible in terms of the reporting. NetSuite has also added analytics now, and it's also bringing some more. The analytics workbook is expanding every day as they're building on it. So those gives a high level of flexibility in terms of how you want to create the report. Data is all sitting within NetSuite. It's not that you're bringing it from somewhere. It's just very flexible and easy to use then.
Anthony, sorry, we've just got a question that's come in in the chat. Expectations for after-sales support, keeping users informed and up to speed with the platform and offering speedy response times to issues. Can the panel address that, please?
Yep, I might start off as well. So definitely when it comes to support, that it is a very important aspect. What we offer as part of our Partner Plus support arrangement for our clients is the ability, the ongoing journey of learning, improving and optimizing your systems. The interaction certainly doesn't stop when the project's done. It's only the beginning of the journey. And the idea is that we're consistently updating you guys, giving you access to the evolving features that come out of NetSuite and the best way to use them. Did the panel members have any comments on that specific question there, guys?
I think I agree, Anthony, what you said, like, after the sales, it's not like we just leave the hand at Fusion 5, it's all integrated, salespeople are still there, but it just goes into delivery, then we go into a support mode. So yeah, so all of that is managed and we talk to each other every day internally.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, as part of your NetSuite subscription, clients will always get the basic support that they get, but that's really complemented by our in-house expertise and the way that we actually structure our customer success journey for our clients. I think that's really relevant. Thanks for that, Meg.
And also for the 2 releases which happens, like NetSuite delivers communication directly to the customers as well. All the release notes are published way ahead of time. So you actually keep up to speed with what changes is happening within the platform as well. So those communication goes out to the customers directly.
Exactly. And I think it's good to have, Fusion 5 there as well for ongoing TLC to give our clients and some of these things that do come out, as well as the joint account management that we have with NetSuite for our Fusion 5 clients, which really gives, the maximum level of TLC that we can. We do have our 4th topic here. So this is more around the real-time picture of core functions with role-based environments, role-based dashboards, to really ultimately give people better decisions in a more agile fashion. Gavin, I might ask you for some comments around this and how you feel NetSuite addresses this based on your experience.
Yeah, so I think it quite nicely ties into the previous question around a single view for leadership. So I think a single view also comes back to consistency, and consistency is a complete real-time picture of your business functions.
Yep.
Seeing some of the questions come up in the chat as well. A single view doesn't necessarily mean that NetSuite is generating everything. So NetSuite is a platform. It's very API driven, so it can sit within a broader technology architecture and systems architecture. We do have multiple editions that are industry focused. And then there's also the ability to look at integration with other systems to source data. That could be billing information, it could be operational information from another system, could be QA systems. So the idea is, how do we get the information, provide a consistent view? And that's through API as well. The real-time role-based approach to, sorry, I'm just rereading the question to make sure I address it as well. So we do use dashboards to collate information. So if you think of a complex environment, sometimes in order to get the information you need, you might need to ask IT or finance or the sales team or operations. What NetSuite really does is drive that single pane of glass view. So it consolidates everything and gives you a dashboard that is real time, that looks at not just reports, but also metrics and KPIs. But again, going back to some of the further earlier conversation, it also allows you to not just view the information, but to drill down and interact with it. And I think that's really important, particularly in the new world of today, with the likes of the last 2 years in the pandemic. Product businesses and services-based businesses have really had to gain more transparency and more consistency. And the things I think of with the people I've spoken to around supply chain. The changes in supply chain and the impact to supply chain for product-based businesses has been huge. The level of transparency they need is much higher. It impacts revenue, it impacts costs. So where you've got freight costs and a particular courier might have a COVID situation where they, are down on resources. So you start thinking about service-based businesses, all of that has a big ripple effect to a business. So getting that complete and consistent view in a very easy and simplistic way is really what we want to drive towards to manage cost, back office optimization, and also revenue. So I know that was a little bit of a long-winded answer, but
That's very true, and I completely agree with what you've said there. I mean, the whole idea is that each role, each person is getting a complete snapshot of all data relevant to them and what they need to do within any given day. So obviously, that's going to have broader implications across the company in terms of both the productivity and the decisions being made. So thanks for that, Gavin. The final topic I wanted to discuss with you guys today was if there was any advice, recommendations that you can give to, business leaders in a similar position on how to make the business case for, the ultimate return on investment and gain the backing of the board, gain the backing of other senior leaders within the organization. Were there any, comments or any additional input that you could provide around that? That would be awesome. Might
I
open it
would,
up with yourself.
yeah,
Thanks, mate.
I would say, Anthony, time is money. When you prepare a business case and you want an approval from your C level, you have to show where you're saving money, how efficiently you're running your business. That's the key, you know. And if I take the examples what we were discussing before, in average, just if we talk about let's say talk about the finance team spending time in just reconciliation, industry average we have seen you reduce from 10 days to 3 days. And you're not working with just one person in a team. Maybe you have multiple people in your team. So what you need to do is go back to your numbers and say, if I save 7 days just by having NetSuite in place to do all the reconciliation, that 7 days multiplied by your team, you will get a number as how much time you will save. And that basically replicates into the dollars you're saving. And that creates a good business case for you to take and saying, because you don't need so many people for doing an activity, which you can resolve by having a very efficient ERP in place, which solves a lot of problems. So that's one thing I would say from my perspective. Yeah.
That's really good. And I know, as part of our evaluations, especially, we do also go through a bit of a ROI validation towards the end of the pre-sales process to ensure that that's documented and available for the support of the business case. So it's quite important to be able to articulate those time savings, cost savings, efficiencies for senior leadership to be able to make decisions like this. Absolutely.
I think, from my perspective, which I think covers the things you've also said, is I think it's very much when you're looking at a new project or a new solution or anything, it should be outcome focused. What are you really looking to achieve? You should also understand the drivers behind that. So what are the challenges that are driving the outcome you're looking to achieve, and why are they challenges? I think there's also, that's probably a little bit more tactical and operational sometimes, but how that aligns to a long-term corporate strategy. So ensuring that the tactical operational challenges and outcomes you're looking to drive do tie to a corporate strategy to get that consistency throughout the organisation. And then obviously working with the right technology partner, finding the right people, and it's about people and technology to really drive those outcomes and tie those outcomes back to your corporate strategy. I know there's a couple of questions that have come up as well. So I'll just raise this question. So in a NetSuite project, and this may be ideal for yourself, Mega, who are the ideal people to have on the project from the client side and why? Do you have an example of a project worked well with the ideal team?
Yeah, thanks, Gav. I will take this one. So ideal people, depending on how big the project is, ideal people, the business sponsor from the client side is really important, who is sponsoring the project, who should support the project. But when you come down to the day-to-day implementation side, we do feel that having the people, the end user also comes at the end when the training times, but if you involve them early enough in the project, it just gets easier during the implementation time. So you should pick all the SMEs from the different team who should be part of the project, because ERP is not just one. From every core function, you should have the SMEs involved. And then as soon as all the key business processes are set, you're coming down to the UAT or the training level, then your end users should get involved So yeah, I mean, there have been, just talking about the examples project, if you need, we have heaps of examples when you have all the key people involved and they understand from day one. We make sure that during the implementation, we make you very hands-on. So we train as we go. So that really helps. So there have been heaps of example. I mean, I'm not sure if you're looking for a particular key customer name or an example, but Ideal Team definitely helps in a successful implementation.
Absolutely. It's important to all be on the same board. And I know when we
Yeah.
commence evaluations, we do often want to get, all people, all stakeholders that are going to be involved in the room on a high level. And as we sort of progress and more go towards the demonstration phase, we then have all the end users involved as well, because it's important to hear everyone's opinion and to make sure that everyone's aligned. And that also assists with our change management strategy as well within our deployment. So I think that's equally important.
So panel, we've got a really great question. How ERP can be personalized for a business with seamless integration across tailored software applications for specific industry sectors? And I think this came from Bostock, New Zealand's leading grower and largest organic apple producer. They have a staff of 200 plus 600 seasonal workers. I'm not sure who will want to pick that one up.
I can start if you like.
That'd be great. Thanks, Gav.
So again, NetSuite has additions. So what we like to do is identify what industry edition you are best suited to, because you get pre-configured ERP. It's a really quite a large differentiator. You get pre-built dashboards, roles, workflows. Where you've got not so much complex, but a diverse technology ecosystem, we can integrate. And that comes back down to understanding what the processes are and the different technology applications that we need to interact with. Fusion 5 has a technology arm. Okay, so we are well versed in integration. We work with a number of leading middleware platforms, as well as going point to point. So that becomes part of the conversation of let's talk about an integration strategy and what that looks like and what the best solution is, because we're somewhat agnostic to that as well. I think that answers most of it. And then obviously with the interactions, again, we bring the right information into NetSuite for the right reasons and present it back to you. I'm not sure if Maggie, you might have a little bit to add. I'm not too sure.
No, I think you covered most of the point, Gavin. I mean, with the integration, as we said, like if you are integrating a very specific, a tailored software application with NetSuite, we only need the right information back in NetSuite. You don't want to bring everything. It could be possible that tailored application, you're looking for a particular report, and that is coming out of your tailored application rather than NetSuite. So with the integration, the NetSuite has got powerful APIs. Fusion 5, for every project we have integrations involved. We are well versed with different middlewares. So the integration is pretty seamless in terms of what the data flows would be. And we can choose whether you want the real-time integration in terms as soon as the data is created, it's visible in both systems, or do you need a batch process? So all of that could be decided based on how the business process and how you want to run it.
And I think, sorry to add more, but I think going back to the first point about the need for due diligence in technology and business, I always have in the back of my mind fit for purpose. NetSuite is hugely extensible. Okay, there's a lot we can do with it. We don't want to extend NetSuite unnecessarily when you have purpose-built solutions that are within your business for the right reason, that are performing a function that potentially we don't need to perform or don't want to. So it's, again, having that conversation to ensure that we're working with you and your ecosystem.
That's true. We're finding a lot of our clients looking at NetSuite projects are also wanting to, where possible, integrate with existing systems they have in place, which are absolutely must have and are somewhat specialized. So we've got quite a lot of familiarity in doing that within the same project. So it's good to know that that you're supported in that respect. I think that's pretty important. Thanks for that, guys. Were there any other questions there that have come up?
No, that seems to be it.
Perfect. Thanks for those. And we might take the opportunity now to move on to a demonstration, if we can. So we'll take this opportunity to reintroduce Gav to go through a little bit around NetSuite, and then we can finish up on time, hopefully. We are just past the half an hour mark.
Fantastic. The demonstration is always the fun part, the part outside of questions that people, everyone loves to see the product. So we'll keep it somewhat light today, dashboard focused as we've been discussing. NetSuite, as you can see on my screen, is dashboard driven, and we've been talking about that. It's real-time information. It's information at your fingertips or at your mouse click. Really quickly, I'm logged in as Frank Davenport. If you see my mouse on the top right, that's my user role. My user that's tied to a role, which is the Chief Financial Officer. And that role is configured with permissions. So what records and transactions and objects can I access? Can I create, edit, delete? Your typical sort of CRUD functions. So it really determines my level of authorization and access. So it's very secure. Frank, as my employee record, also sits within the organizational hierarchy. So that will determine what workflows and approvals might come through to me, whether it's threshold based or maybe it's a particular department. It might go through a line manager and then myself. So there's all these different activities that need to happen throughout the month that we support through user roles, user access, and permissions. Okay? And all of that's driven by the dashboard. I typically like to think of finance as a journey. And when you begin the month, the journey is how do we get to the end of the month in the best, most efficient way with the least number of exceptions. And what we really want to do in NetSuite is manage by exception and have the system configured to get you there as smoothly as we can. And what do we get at the end of the month? We get to understand our financial position and how well we performed. Okay. So I brought up an income statement. It's always fun to talk about revenue. My reports are really configurable. Okay, so while I'm looking at April, I could toggle back to anything. I could do this period, I could do last period, last fiscal quarter, last fiscal year. There's lots of options for me from a single report. Okay, and this is based on the assumption that all of the information is coming into NetSuite on a real-time or scheduled basis so that we can run the report and determine where we are. We're also multi-entity. Okay, so you're not limited to a single entity. What this means is I can run consolidation in real time at any time I want. So again, if you think of Excel, I've seen many times Excel being used to create consolidated reporting. It's done really well, but it's complex and it's risky. I can take my reports and say, well, actually, let's have a look how we did based on the different locations. Okay, so I can see Auckland, headquarters, Perth, Sydney, and then the totals. So again, single report, creating a matrix. There was a question, can I export information at the bottom right-hand side? I can export to Excel. Okay. The formulas do persist to a degree. Okay, so I can, let me bring this across to answer the question. I can see calculations, so I can see a sum here. Okay. So I can see some of the calculations that have been performed within Excel as I export it. Another great part when you think of boards and people maybe external to being a NetSuite user, I can also schedule this or I can distribute it. And this means that I can distribute it to recipients that aren't NetSuite users. Okay, so they don't need a license in order to receive information. If it's a regular recurring report that I want to distribute, I can do that as well. Okay, so a bunch of different options, not just to use the information, but to get it out to all the relevant parties that need to get visibility and transparency across it as well. So then it sort of begs the question, so we're going on a journey, we're at month end, but how did we get here? And how do we get to the income statement? And there's a number of different ways we can think about that. One is we can further interrogate the statement itself. So I can look at the close to $3 million of revenue, and I can drill down into this information. Okay, you'll notice that I can drill down into any of these figures. And this comes back to auditability. So now I've got the detailed section of my income statement for revenue or sales. This is where I can see individual transactions, customers, foreign currency amounts. And then from there, if I'm curious, I can then start to go even further. So I can go from the detailed section all the way across into the invoice. I can see the customer, location, the products or services, and I can also bring up this tab that shows the general ledger impact. So for finance folk, it's really nice to be able to look at a transaction and say, well, how did this actually impact our GL? Okay, so I can see it's gone into debtors, sales, and GST. Okay. If I really want to, I can go even further down. Okay, so auditors tend to love NetSuite because all the information is in one place and they've got the accessibility down. So I can see transactions that have contributed to month end, but let's go back a little bit further. So there's lots of things that need to happen throughout the month in order to get to month end, all the financial events and everything that's been posted into the GL. So the dashboard can help me consistently review and track that. So I can see things like expenses. I can be reminded of certain invoices that are 30 days that are greater than a certain value. Okay, so being that I'm the CFO, there's certain transactions that I want to be alerted to. Certainly not everything. So I can be quite specific about that. As it moves down through the operational hierarchy, it's going to get a little bit more detailed. I've got journals that I need to approve, and I've got periods that I need to close. So the other thing about month end is customers to bill, invoices to pay, allocation schedules you need to run, amortization schedules, prepayments, all your approval processes. So there's all of those operational things that are part of your traditional month end, but we can also manage that throughout the month. And that is where we start to contribute to a reduced month end close, because it's not a big spike of effort at the end of the month. So once we've gone through all of those operational processes, we do get to month end close, and we've got periods to close. As you can see, we might just be a little bit behind on closing out the fiscal periods, but we get a nice list of the fiscal periods in the fiscal year. So we're also perpetual ledger. So you're not closing out and closing the database. You've got historical information as far back as you have information in NetSuite. As Megan mentioned, there is a really structured approach to closing out the fiscal period. And when we click on our checklist, you can see I've got the ability to do soft closes. So lock AR and AP, close both of them out. What this does not do is prevent the business from trading. So transactions can still be entered, and they will be dated based on the transaction date and posted to the current open period. Okay, so you're not having to lock anyone out. We've got a number of different governance processes. We do date and period mismatches, negative inventory. We do cost accounting, plugins. We do foreign currency revaluations. Okay, so we've got realized and unrealized gains and losses based on currency fluctuation in your exchange rates. We recalculate all of your consolidated exchange rates for multi-entity companies. And we also, for those companies with more than one entity, perform all of the eliminations. And so we automate that process for you. And then once we've gone through the checklist, we close it out. And that quite nicely and quite naturally brings us back to our dashboard and the end of the subsequent month. Now, I think, again, going back to some of the questions in the panel discussion, what's really important about this is, again, with the changing times at the moment and the way the pandemic has impacted businesses, it's really important to get information quickly and easily, potentially from multiple sources, in a single place where you can view it, so that you can review results, but also really quickly pivot. You know, with an issue in supply chain or a lack of resource availability in terms of people or human capital, you know, you really need to be able to make changes quickly and easily and really pivot your corporate strategy. So by having all the information in a single place, we really look to provide that to drive down risk, cost, complement or you know, work with revenue, and also increase or get better utilization out of resource. So I know that was pretty short and sweet. I hope it was relevant to our conversation and you can start to see some of the benefits of what NetSuite offers as a solution and a platform, and also the contribution from us as a business technology partner.
Absolutely, that's been great, Gavin. Thank you for sharing that with us. So that concludes our preso and demo today. Certainly, if there are any additional questions from any of the attendees today, do feel free to send them through, and we'll certainly look to have personalized discussions on your unique circumstances, and really to understand where to from there. So hopefully that's been helpful for everybody, and we're very appreciative of everyone's time. Thank you, everybody.